news for all the wrong reasons.
Yes, it's because of crimes such as, well, political murders are just a few, and fights over accommodation. It overshadowed the transformation of these areas. Linda Mkopozi filed this report for us.
Originally, a men-only accommodation, this changed after 1994. The ANC-led government took a decision to transform hostels into family units. In Durban, this promise was kept. Many old and dilapidated buildings made way for new flats. But officials admit that the lack of proper administration of the hostels contributed to some of the problems experienced here.
I must admit that the municipality has actually failed to administer the hostels. I think it's a weakness from our part. It's something that we must accept it. And it's something that municipality need to improve on to administer the hostel. Our administration is very poor when it comes to the management of the hostel. So we need to improve on that one because there are still so many people who are not paying rent.
Here at KwaMashu Hostel, killings were linked to politics and faction fights imported from rural areas. Officials and politicians from different parties tried to intervene.
All we need to do is to ensure that indeed we step up our efforts as government and as responsible citizens on the other hand to ensure that we find lasting solutions to the existing problem here.
The area is designated for 20,000 people, but over 100,000 live here.
The problem with KwaMashu is informal settlement. If municipality and hostel leadership work together to try to resolve the issue of informal settlement at KwaMashu, everybody can be happy because of there is something is coming up.
The number has increased drastically, but we will definitely face the hostel. So I'm saying it's a question of working together as stakeholders, working together with councillors, working together with all role players in the hostel, the committees that are there in the hostel, the police and everybody.
Cleveland's hostel, south of the city, has also had its fair share of problems. Nearly 100 people were killed here since last year. Two factions fighting over the control of accommodation. Interventions by traditional leaders, politicians, and even the public protector did not seem to yield results.
The main reason we're here is the killings, that we've been requested to intervene to make sure that the killings are stopped. And the complainants even threatened to take us to the United Nations if we don't stop the killings. We have found that the storyline that is consistent is that it started with a scramble for accommodation. The allegation is that the way people that started selling the beds, they call them beds because in some of the rooms it's literally a bed that has to be sold, but in other places it's a whole room, but they still call them bed. And they say that those were being sold, and then there was a scramble for that. Others were resisting, and they claim some were bitten, and then there's been killings from both sides of the conflict.
As William was what we are saying, to try to resolve that crime issues is to create the skill development in our hostel, because there is a community hall which we can use as a training center, different skills, e.g. plumbing, painting, bricklaying, and so on. That is how we can cut down our unemployment in our hostels.
The eThekwini Metro Council says it's in the process of fencing Cleveland's in a bid to curb violence.
Beside fencing the hostels as part of our plan to make sure that the hostel is safe, we decided also to erect CCTV cameras to assist the police to monitor the hostel.
No death has been reported at Cleveland's in the last 3 months.
I think we have actually worked very well in the past 5 years. We are actually leaving a legacy behind. We are actually leaving a landmark behind that actually must proceed with the next new incoming leadership. There are so many projects that we have been able to implement in terms of housing, water, electricity, sanitation, job creation, and other projects as well. But when it comes to housing or hostels, we've got about 10 hostels in the municipality of eThekwini that were transferred by the province Department of Human Settlement to us. It's a question of making sure that those hostels are actually, properly managed.
Nxumalo says in spite of problems of crime and killings in these hostels, his outgoing council is proud of its achievements, including an unqualified report for the first time since the ANC took over the control of the metro in 2000. Linda Mkobozi, SABC News, Durban.